Greetings everyone and welcome. In today's video, we're going to discuss on how we can print directly to thermal printer using capacitor application. Printing to a thermal printer, especially in small devices in capacitor or in JavaScript, has been a problem. And today we're going to address just that. All right, so we're going to create a view application that uses the capacitor to convert that view application to mobile application, and then we use the printer plugin to print directly to the thermal printer connected to the device that we are using. So for example, as you can see here, I have this device which is running this sample application here. And as you can see, we have two printers connected to this device, the first printer and the second one. And the second one is the real printer that it's currently connected to this device. All right, and the idea here is to be able to select a printer, then it's selected here, and then print on that printer. Right, and as you can see now, we are printing on that printer, that printer that is currently connected to this device. All right, so as you can see, we can just go ahead and print to the printer that is connected to the device. And this thermal printer, again, I list the device, select the device, and then print on that printer device that is connected to this entered post machine here. All right, so let's just go ahead and see how we could achieve that. And to achieve that, we're going to use view alongside viewify, and then we're going to use a capacitor plugin for printing. All right, so let's just go ahead and create a project in view and viewify so that we can get started. So I'll go over to the browser. So I'll go over to the browser here, and I will head over to the viewify website here, and I'm going to copy the installation command, which is this one here for the people who are using npm. If you're using something else, then you would want to change that to the package manager that you're using. But as for me, I'm using npm, and so I'm going to use the npm to create the view application. All right, and on my desktop here, I'm going to open our terminal. So I'm going to have this, I'm going to paste in the command that we copied from the viewify website. I'm going to enter, and that's going to start creating the viewify project. What I'm going to do here, I'm just going to go ahead and provide a name. I'm going to call the project capacitor printer, like that. And then I'm going to press enter. I'm going to say we want to install the recommended, that will be the everything. I'm going to press enter. I will not be using TypeScript, so I would say no. I'll be using npm. I'll select the second option here, install dependencies, and I'm just going to agree to that. And then it's going to scaffold the viewify and view project. I'm going to pause the video, and when it finishes, I'll come back. All right, and that it's done. So what I want to do, I'm going to open the project in my text editor. I'll be using VS Studio Code. You can go ahead and use whatever text editor you don't want to use, or even IDE. But for me, I'll stick with Microsoft Visual Studio Code. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to get inside the capacitor printer project that we've just created. And then here, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to open that inside the Visual Studio Code like that. All right, so for us to be able to accomplish this, we'll need specifically to we'll need two plugins, one for HTML to Canvas, and another one will be the lidta project, lidta Bluetooth printer. All right, so let's just go ahead and install those in the first place. And here we have the lidta-capacitor-bl-printer printer. Let's just go ahead and bring that in. So I'm just going to copy the installation command there. And here in my text editor, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to want to make it a little bit bigger like that. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and bring in the integrated terminal like that. I'm just going to make a little bit font bigger. And here, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to paste in whatever we've copied from the other side. All right, and that the Bluetooth printer now is installed. And another thing that would want to bring in is the HTML to Canvas. All right, so this one we already have it currently. Now let's go ahead and bring in the HTML to Canvas. So HTML to Canvas, and we're going to grab this one. So let's just go ahead and grab the installation command from here. And let's go ahead and install that. And that's also going to be installed, already installed. Now, what we want to do, remember that this Vue project, and what we want is a capacitor project. So what we're going to do, we're going to add the capacitor project onto this Vue project so we can run it as an Android application. All right, so let's head over to the capacitor.js documentation here. And here, as you can see now, this one creates a new capacitor application, and this one adds a capacitor to our web application. And we're going to choose the second option. So now we have because we already have the project already done in Vue. All right, so let's just go ahead and install those. So here we go ahead and install the capacitor core. And another thing that we would want to grab is the CLI, right? Let's go ahead and copy this. And what we can do, we can maybe have both of these windows here so that we can have them both like that. So let's just go ahead and bring in the other one, the capacitor CLI. And while that installs, let's pick another command here, which is the initialization command. That's the npx capacitor init. All right, so let's just give this one a moment. It's going to be through, and that's it. It added the capacitor CLI, and now what we have is to initialize the capacitor application. What name would we want to give to it? I'm just going to leave the current one just the same as it is, and this one also I'm just going to leave it just the same way it is. All right, so that's done. Let's go to the next part, which is bringing in these two projects, the Android project and the iOS project. So I'll go ahead and paste that in, and that should not take time, should just bring in the two projects. And then what we have is to add each of these projects to our capacitor project or to our view application project. So I'm going to have that, bringing the Android in, and then again I'm going to bring in the iOS. I go ahead and bring in the iOS project, and then the next thing, this warning is that because we've not run the npm run build to build our distribution for files that will be stored in the distribution folder or the dist folder. That's why it has this warning, but not to worry, we'll just be running that command shortly hereafter. Right, so another thing to do is to sync the capacitor project to the Android and the iOS projects, and that command will not run until we say npm run build, and this one will build the view application, creating the dist folder that's going to be used by our capacitor application, this one here. All right, and that folder is already generated by the build command of the view application. And now what we can do is to go ahead and sync that folder to our capacitor project. It's going to warn us that it's keeping the pod installed because the CocoaPods is not installed. Again, we're only going to be implementing for the Android and not for the iOS, so we would not want to worry so much about updating the iOS project. All right, so that's that. And now what we can do, let's just go ahead and see what we've got. For us to see what we've got, we can go ahead and run the view project. So I'm going to have the npm run dev to run the view project, and that's going to run our view project on port 3000. And if we go here and say here we want to go to localhost, and this is 3000, that's going to bring in the view project. As you can see now, it's scaffold, it's with the viewed file. Right, so let's just go ahead and update some of these things. And the first thing that I would want to update is to use the light theme instead of the dark theme. Another thing is just to remove the boilerplate that has already been ordered by the viewed file. Right, so for us to do that, let's go inside the source folder and inside the plugins, and you would see the viewed file plugin here by default is giving us the dark theme, and we're going to change that to the light theme. If we change that, you can see now we have the light theme here. Another thing we want to get rid of is the footer. As you can see here, we have the footer here down here. I just want to get rid of that, and I'm going to make that disappear, and now it's gone. Now let's go ahead and remove this part here, and to do that we go inside the pages here and the index. It's what we're looking for. We go ahead and remove the hello world component that's already extended there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create just one division here like that. And now I'm going to have every other component that I would want to use being inside here. All right, and another thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to switch the JavaScript to go up and the HTML to be down on the bottom. All right, so let's just go ahead and see what we are going to bring into this file here. So the first thing that we are going to do is to import the two plugins that we brought in, right? And as you remember, we brought in the HTML to canvas, and then we brought in the lidta-capacitor-bl-printer plugin. Right, so another thing that we want to do is to define the variables that are going to hold the data that we want to work with. Remember that we're going to work with the devices, listing the devices that are paired with the current device that we are using. And we're going to want to know which printer is currently connected to our device, and the content. This will be what to print. This will be actually the HTML content that we're going to be printing to the Bluetooth printer. All right, so let's just go ahead and bring in some methods. So let's implement some methods that we would want to use. And the first one is the list devices method. And that's going to reach out to the lidta-capacitor Bluetooth printer and bring in the pair devices. All right, and now another method that we want to use is the print method. All right, and I'm just going to call it like this. I'm just going to call it print receipt. And what's going to happen here, it's going to issue the connect command. It's going to get the device, extract the device address, and send that to the plugin, and the plugin is going to respond with the results of the connected device, which is this one here. We're going to take that result and put that into the connected printer. All right, and then we're going to use the HTML to canvas to convert our content to a bitmap or to a base64 image. That's what we're going to send to the lidta-capacitor Bluetooth printer here to print the content. All right, so that's the JavaScript part of it. Let me just go ahead and make this one a little bigger. And that's the JavaScript part of what we are going to be doing. Now let's see what will be the part in the HTML part here. Right, so and in the HTML part, what I would want to do, I'm going first of all to just give some space from the top. So margin top, I'm going to have 4. All right. And then another thing I'm going to have is I'm going to just have text centered, or the content of this will be centered. And now the next thing I want to do is to have a button that we can click to list the devices that are already connected to the device that we are using. Right, and so I'm going to provide that button here, yet inside another division or inside another div. But before that, let's just go ahead and see what is that giving us on the web here. And as you can see now, we already have this button, And if we click it, it's going to complain that we are trying to get paired devices on the web, and this implementation is not yet supported on the web. Remember, we're only supporting the Android at the moment, or this plugin only supports the Android at the moment. All right, so that's the command or the button to get the connected printers. The next one is to loop through the paired printers that we've already got from the get paired printers or get paired devices, right? And if we get the devices, we're going to have them here. Right, so we're going to list them here, we're going to loop through them here, and then we're going to list buttons for each printer so that we can click that printer and print to that printer. Now, it's not going to list anything because we do not have printers for the web, but after we build this one for the Android, it should be able to get to give us something, right? And then after that, what I would want to do is just to show the user which printer is connected. All right, so we're going to have the connected printer name here, and since that can be null, this variable here can be null. It means that we're going to have the null safety there. All right, so like that. Let's try to run that, and as you can see now we have the connected, but it's not connected to anything because we do not have any printer to connect to. All right, so then after that, what I want to have is the contents to print. Let's just go ahead and bring in the content that we would want to print to the Bluetooth printer that will be connected to our device. And this is the content that we would want to print. It resides inside the ref content here with an ID of content. This ID is not important for now, but I will just let it be there. All right, so let's just go ahead and see what we've got. And this is what we've got for now. I'm going to change the size of this image to something smaller. So I'll go ahead and say this is 15. I'm going to have a 15 pixel for that. And again, 15. Now, if you check that out, we have a very small image here. Right, and that's what we want to print. So the next thing that we are supposed to do is just go ahead and run the build command. So I'm going to have here the build command. So let me just go ahead and run here the build command. So npm run build, and that should build the project for production. It's going to put the contents of production inside the distribution folder, and then we're going to run the capacitor command to sync that to the capacitor project. Right, so that should run the build. Oh, sorry, I'm running this one inside the this solver, which will not work. So when I need to have something like dev here, don't worry, dev to me just means npm run dev, and then I'm going to have a new command here, and what I'm going to do is npm run build to build the project for production, and that's going to put the contents of the production inside the distribution folder. And the next command to run is npx-cap sync, so that we can sync the distribution folder to the capacitor project, and that's going to sync that. It's going to complain, but it's still going to complain about the iOS. And as we said, we're not implementing for the iOS currently. And then the next thing that I've got to do is run Android. I'm just going to run the Android project inside the device that I have with me. As I showed you, lastly, I have the device that I am using for the Bluetooth printer, which is this one here. All right, so after that, it's going to complain that it did not get the SDK. And the way we can solve this problem is just go ahead and open the project inside the Visual Studio. So I'm just going to run the open command, and that command should open the project inside the Android Studio. And should run and just fix the issues, but I think this one was already open, so I'm just going to close that and open it again. It should check if the project has some issues, and then if it does, it's going to try and fix them. All right, and as you can see now, it's scanning the files. It's going to find out that the SDK path is missing, and then it's going to update that, and it's going to render the project okay. All right, and then I think that it's already fixed. Now we can just go ahead and now this time around run the application. It's going to list the devices that I've got, and the first one is the one that I have that runs the application. So again, I'm going to try to open it. Has some issues, I'm not sure. Again, I will try to run this from here and see. So that should run the Android application or Android project inside the capacitor, and it's still having some issues. What I'm going to do is I'll try to clean the project, and then I'll see if that will fix the issue. So the Android Studio could not fix the problem, and I ordered the LTK manual here. So I created this file. I called it, this file should be called local.properties, and then I ordered the SDK path here. That was the only issue that the Android Studio couldn't fix. All right, so after that, what we did now is to go back to our page here, and the command that we were running at that time is to npx cap run Android. All right, and that should list the devices that you've got, and I'll use the first device, that the thermal printer, the pause thermal printer that I am using, and the application should be able to run on that printer. If I bring in the camera on this side, you see that now we have this device here, and the application is now running, and here it's just saying connected until I list the devices that are already paired with this printer. And now I can just go ahead and print to the second printer because it's the current printer connected to this device. And as you can see now, it prints the invoice that we created inside the example that we provided. All right, so, and as you can see here, there is Arabic characters and it's still printing them correctly without any problem. So that's what we wanted to do today. If you've got any question, please, you can just go ahead and ask it in the comments, or just go ahead and get into the repository or to the example that's already provided by the plugin website. All right, so you're going to find everything that you need there if you've got any questions or anything to add. And remember that this plugin is just the version 1 of the this device. So it means that as the time goes, it's going to get better every time we have a new version. So thank you very much for sticking around with me. I'll see you in the next one, whereby we'll be solving yet another problem. As you can see now, this device is already printing, and this is HTML, and you can print text, you can print anything that you would want to print, so long as you convert it to base 64 base 64 image format here, like the way we converted this. It's not just the HTML. You could just do that with a PDF, you could do that with text, you could do that even with the image, and we've already seen how we can do that with the HTML that contains text. So thank you very much. I'll see you again in the next one. And again, if you remember that we had a direct print that prints from our website, if you would want to have that solution, just go ahead and visit lidta.com. You're going to find a solution whereby you can print directly to your local printer connected to your local computer from the web browser. Right? Just go ahead and check it out if at all you would want to print directly from a web browser to your local computer, or to a printer connected to your local printer. Just go ahead and head over to lidta.com here, and you're going to get that solution is already there, and you can just go ahead and get one subscription. Is very straightforward, and you will have the free 15 days trial. You can just go ahead and choose the operating system that you're using for your application or for your cloud point of sale, and install that and get the subscription. You can get any subscription with 15 days free trial, and then get the extension, follow the documentation, the implementation, or if you have anything that you want to check out with the lidta team, just go ahead and submit your inquiry through the contact us form. You can just go ahead and get the email info@lidta.com. Go ahead and WhatsApp the number on the contact us form here, and the team is just going to get back to you. All right, so thank you very much for having me on this one. I will definitely see you around when we be solving another problem. Have a nice one.